There are two versions of Dragon Ball Z Battle of Gods, and if you've ever wondered whether the uncut version actually adds anything meaningful, or if it's just 20 extra minutes of padding, yeah, I was curious too. Officially, the film has two versions, the theatrical release and the uncut version. Although, if you want to be pedantic, you could argue that there is technically three versions. With Dragon Ball Super Season 1 acting as the third retelling, but that is a whole other conversation that we're not going to get into here, at least not in this video. The uncut version runs about 20 minutes longer than the theatrical cut, which is actually a pretty significant amount of extra footage when you consider the original movie isn't even an hour and a half long, and that's including the credits. Despite what the name might suggest, there wasn't really any real censorship in the theatrical release. We're long past the days of purple blood and everyone conveniently drinking apple juice. Most of the changes in the uncut version are fairly minor tweaks, usually there to fix continuity errors or slightly extend existing scenes. So I went through both versions to see exactly what was added, and more importantly, if any of it actually made the film better or worse. Now, I know I'm usually the first to bitch and moan about companies nickel and diming everyone with selling them half-baked products, but with Battle of Gods, a lot of the physical releases give you both the theatrical and uncut versions in both English and Japanese, and honestly, you can't really complain about that. That's a good product, so whether one version is better doesn't matter all that much, because both are easily accessible, meaning you might as well just watch both. I mean, if you're a Dragon Ball Z fan, is anyone here not actually a Dragon Ball Z fan? Who watches a video like this? Let's be honest with each other here, we're all lame-os. Also, just a quick note, when I made the timestamps, they're counted from the very start of the film, beginning with the Toei Company logo reveal. You know, the waving rocks, that one. That way, if you want to look up any of the scenes I'm talking about, you'll know exactly where to find them. If you're enjoying the video so far, drop a like and consider subscribing. We're so close to 50 subscribers and it'll be great to hit that by the end of the year. Also, check out the other Dragon Ball videos on the channel too. It really helps, especially since this one will probably get claimed by Toei again. The most obvious difference, and the one I already talked about in my Battle of Gods retrospective, is the inclusion of a story so far segment. It's a very brief recap that starts with Goku meeting Bulma and runs all the way through to the end of the Buu saga. Honestly, this is the one piece of added content that I think absolutely should have been in the theatrical release. There is a huge gap between the release of this and the end of Dragon Ball Z, and the recap is actually really nice because of that. Plus, it's just cool seeing some of the older material reanimated, even if you don't like the animation style. At about 3 minutes in, the uncut version starts to line back up with the theatrical cut, with the Outer Kai looking out at the galaxy as the camera zooms into his eye, but then it immediately deviates again. There's a short conversation between the Outer Kai and Kabuto Kai about sensing Beerus' awakening and informing the lower Kais. They also talk about how little time has passed since the universe was remade, saying it feels like the dust has barely settled. It adds a slightly more ominous tone to the situation and makes Beerus feel more intimidating overall. After that, it cuts to Goku training on King Kai's planet. What's interesting here is how these scenes are edited together. In the uncut version, Outer Kai and Kabuto Kai look up into the sky as the camera pans upwards, and then it cuts to King Kai's planet. In the theatrical version, it cuts straight from the zoom in on Outer Kai's eye. Visually, I think the uncut version flows better. Looking up into the sky and then cutting to another planet just feels like a cleaner transition. It just makes so much more visual sense. Does that make sense? During the fabulously bad CGI car exposition dump, where King Kai explains Beerus to Goku, the uncut version adds a bit more elaboration on Beerus as the counterbalance to creation. But instead of the awful car, the dialogue plays over much better visuals. King Kai and Goku are eating steamed buns, and I'm not gonna lie, those steamed buns look delicious. The park I used to go running at had a place across the road from it that sold steamed buns, and they're so good. I wish I still lived there so I could go get some right now. I'm hungry. I really think they should have used this version in the theatrical cut. Keep the dialogue, keep the scene length, just get rid of the damn car. The title screen has some extra text added to the logo. I think it says something like Uncut or Special Edition. I probably should have checked that before recording. Okay, I just Google translated it real quick. It says Special Edition, which was what I kind of assumed. Just looking at it, I remember thinking, that's a lot of kanji for something that would just say Uncut. After Beerus wakes up, there's a lot more interaction between Beerus and Whis. We get things like Whis preparing a bath for Beerus, which actually explains why Beerus is suddenly in a bathrobe with a towel on his head in the next scene. I'll be honest, I never even questioned that in the theatrical version. He just was like that. But yeah, apparently he had a bath between shots. The added banter here gives you a much better sense of their relationship and really sells the idea that these two have known each other for a very long time. This is easily one of the best additions in the uncut version. It's solid characterization and it doesn't really hurt the pacing, which is more than I can say about a lot of these other added scenes. There's an added establishing shot of Beerus and Whis walking along the path towards that magical fish in a glass thing. It's only about 3 seconds long, and there are a lot of little additions like this throughout the uncut version. They don't really add anything to the plot, but they do give you a bit more of a sense of the world. When Whis discovers that the sands are on Earth, Beerus mentions that he's been there before and was the one who wiped out the dinosaurs, even though in the Dragon Ball universe there are still dinosaurs on Earth. In fact, there is even a dinosaur in this movie. Unless they edited that out. The launch sequence when Beerus and Whis take off for King Kai's planet is much more elaborate here. It almost looks like Whis is about to break into a magical schoolgirl transformation. There's also an added shot of Beerus's planet, which, when paired with the earlier establishing shot, does a much better job of giving you a sense of where everything is taking place. The uncut version surprisingly adds a lot more Mr. Satan. He's sitting there eating some genuinely delicious looking food when he asks Mr. Briefs to top up his drink, completely mistaking him for a waiter. To be fair, he does kind of look like one. He's then informed that this is actually Bulma's father, and also the richest man in the world. Mr. Satan is understandably embarrassed, but Professor Briefs, did I say Mr. Briefs or Professor Briefs? Oh, whatever. But Professor Briefs is totally unfazed and politely asks him what he'd like to drink. Mr. Satan, still trying to recover, insists on getting him a drink instead, and Briefs humbly asks for a cola, not a Coca-Cola. Couldn't get the rights for that. It's a nice little character interaction, especially since some of these minor characters had basically zero screen time in the theatrical release. I think Briefs might have been in the background of a couple of shots at most. There's a shot where Goku suddenly yells into the air after realizing he completely forgot about Bulma's birthday party. There's an extended shot of Goku seeing Beerus for the first time. We get a really good look at King Kai's teapot. Goku refers to Beerus as a big hairless house cat, which makes sense, considering Beerus's design is literally based on Toriyama's cat. Whis comments that after Beerus destroyed King Kai's planet, he could have had it restored to its original size, but chose not to because he likes it cozy. This actually clears something up I'd always wondered about. I assumed Beerus destroyed most of the planet and only a small chunk was left, which is why it's so tiny, but no, King Kai just prefers it that way. When Goku runs out to introduce himself, instead of King Kai instantly smacking him over the head, there's a short added bit of animation showing King Kai actually running up to him first. When Beerus says he wants to check out Earth, he asks Whis how far it is, and Whis says about 3 minutes. And that's it. We get a mid shot of Goku's face, and then the scene ends. This is probably the most pointless addition to the entire uncut version. It literally adds nothing but runtime. Disappointingly, there's no extension to the Super Saiyan 3 fight, because fighting animation is expensive. Oh well. That said, they did fix a continuity issue from the theatrical release. When Beerus knocks Goku out, a massive crater is formed beneath him. So now when it cuts back to Goku passed out, it actually looks like he landed there, instead of looking like he dug his own crater off screen just to lie in it, to be dramatic.
I'm dying, help me.
As Beerus and Whis leave, King Kai gives a little wave goodbye with his handkerchief before immediately running over to Goku. You get a lot more visuals of the destruction caused by Goku and Beerus' fight. Now this one isn't an extended scene, but they added a blur effect to the background, presumably to make Vegeta stand out more. Honestly, I think the original looks better. The blurred version just looks like someone smeared Vaseline all over the floor. Doesn't look good. It's like in games where they're like default motion blur on and you're like, why would I want my thing to look worse? They do the same thing again in the next shot, along with changing the angle of the tiles. I guess they didn't like the original perspective. There are probably a ton of little changes that they did that I didn't pick up on, but I did try my best. This is one of the more significant additions. After his crushing defeat, Goku is left thinking about how he could possibly beat Beerus. At first he assumes fusion with Vegeta might be the only option, but quickly realizes that even that wouldn't be enough. He then starts wondering if there's another Saiyan out there literally called God. For a moment, Goku genuinely thinks Beerus might be referring to a Super Saiyan called God. This is something about it that I think is really funny. He questions whether it's a level he can reach through training or if it's something else entirely. Bubbles then pulls the sensory beans Goku had stuffed down his pants and gives him one, instantly restoring him to full health. Goku debates whether he should head to Earth right away or stay and train while figuring out his next move. It's a good scene. It explains how Goku recovers so quickly after such a brutal beating and shows that he's taking the situation more seriously than what came through in the theatrical cut. That said, it doesn't really tell us anything that isn't implied later. Still, I did kind of like this scene. It also made me realize just how little Goku is actually in this movie, though that's nothing new, is it? Goku's absence is kind of a running theme. Just come in last minute and take all the credit. When Beerus arrives at the party, Vegeta doesn't immediately find him. Instead, we get a scene of Vegeta frantically searching under tables and around the area like a madman, prompting Krillin to comment that he always knew Vegeta would eventually lose it. It's a really funny moment, especially seeing someone like Vegeta this stressed out and unhinged. There's some more Mr. Satan antics here, where he drunkenly tries to challenge Beerus. Thankfully, he passes out before he can actually do it, and Beerus just laughs the whole thing off. Vegeta looks like he's about to shit himself though. Quite a bit is added to the Peel-Off Gang segment, where they're running around the Capsule Corp searching for the Dragon Balls. And if you watched my Battle of Gods retrospective, you already know that this is what I considered the weakest part of the film. So, did extending it improve things? No. If anything, it made it worse by dragging out the weakest material. There's almost a full extra minute of them just running around. At 38 minutes and 51 seconds, Peel-Off spraying poopy on one of the prizes is slightly extended, and then again at 39 minutes and 4 seconds, we get even more shots of them rummaging through the prizes, and none of it really adds anything meaningful. After the gang gets caught, they stare at Goten for longer before finally realizing he isn't Goku. It's just longer. Even though I've been pretty hard on these added peel-off scenes, there is one that I genuinely actually really like because it's actually funny. After Mai swaps the diamond for the 4-star Dragon Ball and explains her plan to hold it for ransom for 1 million Zeni, Shu points out that the diamond was probably worth more than that and they should have just taken it and left. I'm not doing the joke much justice here, but it lands much better in the film. Goku's Kamehameha launch is slightly extended, and there's also a short added shot of King Kai running towards the barrier. Honestly, that seems to be one of the most common additions in the uncut version. Extra shots of King Kai running towards something. When Fidel gets shot, Master Roshi offers to take a look at her leg. Because of course he does. Bulma immediately slaps him for it, which is well deserved. Also a very decent slap too. Boom! Headshot! After the whole hostage situation, Mai casually asks Trunks if he can deflect bullets too. Trunks, completely misunderstanding the situation, confidently says yes, assuming she already knew that when she acted earlier. He then starts critiquing everyone's performances, still fully believing the hostage situation was staged. There's a very short added shot of Piccolo reacting to not winning bingo. The more Piccolo, the better. At 54 minutes and 57 seconds, the camera pans the opposite direction than it does in the original to focus more on Piccolo, smoothly transitioning into another shot where Piccolo is so pissed off about losing that he storms off and throws his bingo card away. Then B grabs it and runs off, with Goten following close behind. Beerus and Whis head over to the dessert table in search of pudding. I don't know why Beerus is so fixated on that when the rest of the food looks way better than that weird yellow pudding. An interesting fact that's probably not very interesting to anyone because most of you are Americans. In New Zealand, pudding just means dessert. So technically, where I'm from, all of this is pudding. During the Beerus vs Z Fighter sequence, there are multiple added shots throughout, with most of the emphasis placed on Boo fighting Beerus. Despite the additions, the fight still flows fairly well. There's also another Trunks and Mai moment, along with Trunks and Goten helping the Pilaf gang get out of the way of the chaos. Before Vegeta fights Beerus, he makes sure that they move away from the party area so everyone else is safe. I really like this small moment because it shows how much more considerate Vegeta has become. He really is the actual hero of this film. The fusion scene between Goten and Trunks is extended and actually shows them changing clothes, fixing another small continuity error from the theatrical version. Base form Goten's aura is corrected to white instead of yellow, and the shot is slightly zoomed in more for some reason. We also get a shot of Goten's flying into battle, with Chi-Chi worrying that Goten has transformed into a delinquent again. A nice little callback to what she calls the Super Saiyan transformation. More eating. Now this is where we get one of the biggest, or at least one of the longest additions to the uncut version. Beerus singles out Oolong from the crowd, mostly because he thinks he looks delicious, and challenges him to a game of rock, paper, scissors. If Oolong wins, Beerus won't destroy Earth, at least not today. If Beerus wins, Earth gets wiped out. No pressure. Yamcha, in his infinite wisdom, convinces Oolong to throw paper. His logic is that Beerus assumes Oolong has hooves instead of hands, meaning Beerus would think Oolong can only throw scissors, so Beerus would go rock. It's a whole galaxy brain moment that immediately falls apart when Beerus just goes scissors. It's a very Dragon Ball scene, and honestly I probably like it more if it was placed somewhere else. Where it is, it completely undercuts the tension that was building. Goku's arrival should have been the release valve for that tension, and this scene kind of steps on that moment. There's more emphasis placed on Vegeta being a righteous Saiyan who should be included in the ritual, and it is well deserved. I don't think Vegeta gets nearly enough credit for what he does in this film. He keeps a literal god of destructions entertained and satisfied for hours to prevent Earth from being destroyed, without panicking anyone or putting the burden on them, so everyone else can just enjoy the party. That's not easy, and it's genuinely admirable. Vegeta finally gets some much needed recognition, even if he's clearly uncomfortable with it. Also, more eating. There's a very short added line where Vegeta asks if the ritual is actually working, and it ain't. Before the fight between Beerus and Super Saiyan God Goku, Whis tells everyone to clear the area. There's an extra angle added to Goku and Beerus' standoff, giving the moment a bit more weight. The first punch of the fight is given much more emphasis, the shot lingers longer, and we get reaction shots from the other characters. It really sells the idea that this isn't just another fight, this is something fundamentally different. Two gods colliding. I think the added emphasis works really well here, especially with how much more focus is on the spectators throughout the rest of the fight. Beerus comments that Goku seems addicted to battle, which yeah, very accurate, very observant. Well, he is a god, so he knows a lot. There's a lot more focus on the people watching the fight compared to the theatrical cut. The capsule courtship taking off is extended. I don't know why that is. The ship follows the destructive wake of Goku and Beerus' fight. Whis joins them on board while casually eating ice cream. He asks Android 18 if it's hard to make, and she snaps back that she doesn't know, they just buy it. Whis then calls her cold, like the ice cream. He insists it's just a joke, but I don't buy it. I can absolutely imagine Whis being a bit of a bitch on purpose. Very gay of him. Vegeta and Krillin watch the fight, and Vegeta complains that Goku always shows up at the last minute to steal the spotlight, which, to be fair, is completely true. But then Vegeta says something unexpected. For once, he's glad it's not him. I don't know how I feel about this line. It feels borderline out of character. Maybe I'm biased because deep down, I think that Vegeta should have gone to be the Super Saiyan God in this film. But there's a reason why you shouldn't pander to the audience so much, because that might not make a good film. After the battle and when the dust has settled, we get even more recognition for Vegeta and the others when the Elder Kai and Kabuto Kai acknowledge that it wasn't just Goku who saved the day. Beerus does a bit more glazing of Goku here. Beerus and Whis talk about food again, and Beerus mentions that he plans to take a 3-year nap so he can come back to Earth and eat more. And then yet another food scene, this time with Beerus trying sushi and wasabi and liking it enough to decide not to destroy Earth. I get that this stuff is meant to further characterize Beerus and Whis, but at this point I feel like they went a little bit overboard with the food scenes. There's just like too many of them in a row. And the final added scene in the uncut version is just Pilaf noticing mine Trunks in a tree. Sorry if you're expecting something a lot more dramatic, but that's just it. I still stand by what I said in my Battle of Gods retrospective. The uncut version doesn't really add anything substantial. Most of the additions are just extended versions of scenes that already communicated what they needed to, and in some cases the extra material actively hurts the pacing. That said, I don't think you can go wrong with either version. In my opinion, Dragon Ball Z Battle of Gods is still the best Dragon Ball movie, cut or uncut.